All right, guys, welcome to Real Talk Weekly. This is my Bedan and Jonathan. We're talking about the spring that's just around the corner, and is it time to spring onto the market? Stay with us while we talk about it. All right, hello. How are you doing, Jonathan?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Been a busy day for you?
Very busy day. Very
Yeah.
busy day. Mondays are always very busy.
Yes, after the weekend, after the rush, it does get busy, eh?
Yeah, lots of catch up from the weekend.
Definitely. And I think, as our topic says, I think a lot is about to go down.
Yep.
And as we're talking around as well, we normally talk about what's the property market doing every Monday.
Yep.
But now we're talking, is it time to spring onto the market?
Yep.
And what are your thoughts?
I think at the moment it's definitely time to spring onto the market,
Yeah.
which is why we're coming in here talking about
Yeah.
what we think and what we recommend is going to happen in the next couple of months, and what we think you guys should do as owners if you are thinking of selling over the next 6 months, and kind of our take on it, and us as agents as a professional opinion, and what we recommend.
Very much. And I think everyone in the industry, both buyers and sellers, they always think, spring is the best time to sell. And yes and no. Right.
Yeah, there's a bit of a mixture of emotion there.
Very much. Like spring, yes, because your property will look best. They're more natural light. The weather is always good. And we being in northern beaches, the weather affects the market a lot. Like, no one wants to be close to the water
Yeah.
when it's winter. And with spring coming on, everyone's listing at the same time. So, like, we always talk about, stock is the biggest enemy of price growth. So if there's too many options out there, the buyers will have, too many things to choose from. So they might not be like fighting for your property, or going over the top for your property. So sometimes spring might not be the best time to sell as well.
Yeah.
Like right now, just heading to the spring, the stock is at its very low level. Well, pretty much average, I think, with
Yeah.
620.
About 620
Yeah.
at the moment.
620, we normally average around 800, and 620 is still considered low. So I think this would be the best time to sell.
I think so too. We were just actually talking about it before, how
Mhm.
the stock's at 620, which is low for the time of year. Typically, it's about 800. So, I mean, when you're thinking about it in the concept of things, 200 properties is quite a lot of properties when you're only talking about one just main suburb.
Exactly.
And those are 200 properties you're not competing with. When I'm sure coming into spring now, with a lot of people we're talking to are saying they're going to list towards the end of spring. Whereas now you're in a really sweet spot to list and be one of those fewer properties that are coming on sooner,
Mhm.
rather than coming on when there's 850 properties on the market. You're coming on when there's 620. So
Very
you're in a sweet pocket now where there's not much stock to choose from. There's plenty of buyers out there,
Exactly.
and you don't want to be competing with too many. So the less, the better. And at the moment, you're in a really good sweet pocket of that weather coming into the spring,
Mhm.
and you don't have to worry about being on the competitive side with all of those other spring properties.
Very true. That's very spot on. And as we mentioned about buyers are roaring hot right now, because in 1 year, let's say 8 months, 3 interest rate cuts. So the buyers are having that confidence. They're full on the market. Urban homes are busy. Investors are finally back in the market, finding their feet, because now after the interest rate drops, they can kind of see, okay, yes, the return is there. I can finally invest in a property. So we can see a lot of buyers out there. So yes, low stock, more buyers. So it's the good old supply versus demand.
Yeah.
So this is probably the best time of 2025. Yes, spring would be the best time to sell. And right now, just leading to that spring with the interest rate cut and no stock.
Yeah.
Might be the
Yeah, exactly.
with the cherry on the top.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. I think so. I think you're right. And like Badan touched on there, the interest rate drops have had a massive impact on the market, which I don't know if everybody sees it, but we do. Obviously, we're on the ground. Today, for example, I've had 2 properties which are really good price points. Those interest rates drops I've had 10 groups through one and 9 through the other.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 offers today come in. So you can see that they're starting to find their feet now, and they're not scared to throw in an offer. They're not scared to actually get their foot in the door. Whereas before, we were seeing a lot of people coming through opens, and they were saying, oh no, we're just seeing what's happening in the market, and there was no really bite.
Yeah.
But now you're seeing that other side of things, a spin-off now, where you're seeing those people who aren't afraid to put in an offer and actually buy the property.
Mhm.
And I think that's due to that interest rate drop. So we're seeing a lot more buyers out there willing to spend money.
Exactly. That's correct. Sorry. And also with the rate cutting, buyers understand that as well. Like if they wait a bit more, everyone will be on the market and they'll end up competing with a lot more buyers.
Yeah.
So if you secure your property, the rate will eventually come down and you can refinance. So your mortgage will go down. So
Yeah.
it's better to buy right now. So they know that understanding and they have that knowledge, because if they wait a month or two, then there'll be a lot more buyer on the market with the increased budget.
Yeah.
So, you'll be competing with a lot more. So buyers know that right now. So just heading on to the spring is because it's probably September onwards.
Yeah.
So this might be the time to just start, interviewing your agents, getting your property on the market. What do you have to do? Because they will know, the agents would know, like for us, for example,
Yeah.
we can let you know what to do in the property, what maximizes the value, than spending random money on something that might not be in return.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to sell as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's a good subject to touch on there
Mhm.
as well. We went through a property the other day with myself and Lisa, and we walked through,
Yeah.
and the owner was like, "I want you to come in and tell us what we need to do to get
Mhm.
it ready." We walked in and said, "You absolutely have to do nothing. You're ready to go." And they said,
Yeah.
"What about this, this, and this?" And we said, "No, there's not really much point wasting money on that.
Mhm.
You're not going to maximize value. You're just going to end up spending money on it." So we saved that owner, 10 grand on doing repair works and that sort of thing. That wouldn't have really made them that much money in the outro. So, I mean, in that kind of thing, you need to get an agent's advice, because we're the ones on the ground seeing what buyers are actually
Exactly.
looking at and what they're not. And the way that a vendor perceives the property is very different to how a buyer does.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we kind of understand both sides. So it's definitely good to start talking to agents, even if you're not thinking of listing for even another 3 months.
Mhm.
It's still good to talk to them and see what their added value is to your property.
Definitely, that's very true. Because you might think, oh, that new sink or that new cabinet might add value, but you might do a few things, and the buyer will say, "Oh, I don't like the color. I'm going to change it anyway." So
Yeah,
that's your
exactly.
20 grand down the drain, right?
Yeah.
So it's basic things like paint, fresh coat of paint, all the lights on the same color. Those things are very essential and crucial.
Yeah.
But other things major, it's better to think it through. If I invest 20 grand, is 50 coming back?
Yeah.
Like things like that, and that's when the agents come in picture. So, and this is the time you can kind of interviewing agents. And if you don't have any, we are always here from Novak 24/7 out there for you. So that's always an option.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, it's just little tips and tricks in terms of getting your property on and that sort of thing. I mean, I touched on it a couple of weeks ago with Thomas in terms of getting your property ready for market. Things that you probably wouldn't see, like if you're in a house, it's good to do up the gardens, that sort of thing. Especially in spring, everybody's looking at a nice sunny backyard or a nice sunny front yard. So little stuff like that that's going to draw attention to buyers. You want to be fixing up, and obviously, once again, talk to your agent if you do need anything. We are happy to help out.
Yep, I think that's about it.
That's about it. If you need anything, let us know.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's pretty much our take on it. It's a good time to get into the market now while we've got low stock, plenty of buyers. And if you do want to chat to an agent, feel free to reach out to us.
Exactly. And ending on that note, it's if you ask an agent, it's always the right time to buy. It's always the right time to sell. Right. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks,
and
guys.
take care.
See you later.